And happy Thursday, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kane. It's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by we got Merlin Law Group, Premier Claims, as well as American Contractor Show and Atlas. Thank you guys as always for sponsoring our video. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We do have a pretty broad area where we're watching for some severe hail today, specifically Omaha. Will you guys get some large hail? We'll talk about all of that in just a few moments. And then we also have a small area that we're watching for the potential for tornadoes. And then as we get into tomorrow, that area for severe weather will shift to the east. Chicago, you may be in the range to see that severe weather tomorrow. So we'll talk about all that in just a few moments. But first, we're going to recap what happened yesterday. We did have two areas that we saw some severe weather, mostly wind, but we did see some hail, unfortunately, mostly in some rural areas. So going through the time here, yesterday at around noon Central Time, so 1 p.m. Eastern, we started to see some storms fire up here in the Virginias and North Carolina. And as we continue through the rest of the afternoon, that activity started to push off to the east, and we saw some more widespread severe wind here. And then we had some scattered hail reports as well, nothing too crazy. And then out into the northern plains, we saw some wind reports as well as a few scattered hail reports in the Dakotas and then out in the northwest. And as we continue through the rest of the evening, the stuff along the east coast pushed off, and then we saw some more wind here in the northern plains. And then as we got into the overnight hours, you can see this line here pushing through Omaha, getting into Iowa. Pushed on through, not a whole lot in terms of severe wind gusts as the line got into Iowa. It kind of died off, but we saw some more wind and hail reports this morning in western South Dakota. So here's what's going on right now. You can see we have a low pressure that is off the east coast right now. And then we also have another storm system up in Canada. So we're going to zoom into a few areas here. First, let's zoom into the northeast, where it's starting to taper off in terms of rain here in Boston, but still some moderately heavy rain here in parts of far eastern Massachusetts, going down in parts of Rhode Island, and just some scattered showers here and there for parts of the northeast as well. And then getting down into the southeast, just with that heating of the day, it is that summertime environment where as we get that heating of the day, those showers and storms start to pop up with that heat. And then the main area that we're watching today for that severe weather is here in the northern plains. So the Dakotas down into Nebraska, Kansas, as far west as potentially Denver and Colorado Springs, and then sliding eastward into Iowa. So right now, not a whole lot going on, just some light rain as well as a few thunderstorms, nothing crazy right now. But as we get into this afternoon and evening and we get that unstable atmosphere to develop, we will be watching for those strong to severe storms to form. So zooming on out, taking a look at our temperatures, getting up to near 90 in a lot of places. Kansas City, you're at 87, 88 here in Oklahoma City, 89 down in Dallas and Houston, and all those warm temperatures stretch all the way to the East Coast. If you want some cooler weather, you can go up to Portland, Maine, where it's 65, or go into the far northwest, where temperatures are in the upper 60s to around, mid 70s or so here in Boise. So let's check out our severe outlook for today and over the next few days. So this is for today. We do have multiple areas that we're going to be watching for severe weather. Again, the main area is going to be here in the central and northern plains. Omaha, you have a it looks like an enhanced risk for severe weather now. That is an update from the National Weather Service. And then we also have a few areas here in the northeast as well as in the southeast. And then as we get into tomorrow, that area of severe weather potential will start to shift off to the east a bit. So Chicago, you're just on the far eastern edge of that slight risk. So we'll be watching you guys, as well as, I won't say it completely, KC, you're in that risk as well. And then a marginal risk here in the northeast. And then Saturday, Great Lakes region, as well as the Texas Panhandle, westward into parts of New Mexico and southern Colorado. Those are the areas that we'll be watching for our Saturday. So here's our significant hail model. Again, the brighter colors indicate that potential for very large hail. And as we go through this afternoon, keep an eye on the Dakotas, down, especially here in Nebraska and northern Kansas. Those brighter colors start to show up here. This is at 3 p.m. Central Time. And then as we go into the overnight hours, you can see those colors start to dissipate a bit. So I think the best chance to see that severe hail will be after 3 p.m. and then we'll start to die off as we get into the early morning hours. So let's go on here and zooming on in a bit. Again, those brighter colors here are really showing up, especially in Nebraska, but still popping up here and there in the Dakotas. So again, as we go through the evening, between like 3 and 9 p.m., we'll be watching very carefully here from especially central Nebraska eastward into Omaha. There is a chance that we can see some very large hail there in Omaha if those storms decide to stay discrete. If they want to line out, it'll be more of a wind threat. So we'll see what happens here. But right now, I think the largest hail that we're expecting today is up to tennis ball size. Again, for those storms that decide to stay by themselves. Once they line out, it'll be more of a wind threat. So we're going to take a look at a few future model radars. Here we go for the northern plains, getting up into the Dakotas and Minnesota. So right now, unfortunately, Minneapolis, you're getting rained on, and that's going to basically inhibit our chances for severe weather today. So it should stay to the south of you guys. We're really keeping an eye here on the Dakotas, Nebraska, Iowa, as well as here in Denver and Colorado Springs. Again, marginal risk for you guys, but this time of the year, we watch you guys very carefully. So as we go to about 2:30, just some rain going on right now, but then as we get to around dinner time, here we go with those storms starting to fire up here. Initially, they will be discrete or by themselves, but as we continue through the rest of the evening, stopping at 8:30, you can see some more linear modes trying to form here. So again, large hail will be the initial risk, and then as we continue through the rest of the evening, it looks like it's going to become more linear, so becoming more of a wind threat. So both large hail and strong winds will be possible here across those areas today. And then getting into the overnight hours, Des Moines, you can see some stormy weather. And then as we wake up tomorrow morning in Chicago, once again, we could see some heavy rain in your neck of the woods. And then getting down into the southeast as well as looking into the northeast, just some scattered storms here and there. Nothing too crazy in terms of severe weather, but we could see some isolated wind gusts here across the southeast, as well as an isolated wind gusts and maybe some small hail up to quarter size in parts of the northeast as well. And we're going to zoom into a few different areas here in just a moment. This should be it, stopping at 7 a.m. We're going to zoom into the basically the main area concern for today, especially Nebraska, parts of Kansas, and westward into Colorado. So around 3:30 or so this afternoon, you can see a few storms are expected to fire up here in Nebraska, and then westward into Denver as those storms move off the mountains. We'll be watching you guys very closely near and east of Interstate 25. And then as we continue through the rest of the evening, you can see the storms are really starting to fire up here. Again, they will be isolated, discrete at first, but then as we continue through the rest of the evening, you can see becoming more linear here. So it'll become more of a wind threat. So we'll be watching you guys very closely here in Omaha to see will we get large hail, will we get gusty winds, will we get both? It's all up to Mother Nature, basically. So as we get into the overnight hours, we'll be watching Des Moines, and then that will be pushing off to the east. And then Chicago, you could be getting some storms as you wake up tomorrow. So keep that in mind for your morning commute. So here is our forecast for today in terms of hail. Again, I do have a low end chance to see hail here from Denver down to Colorado Springs. Again, it's the time of the year where we're watching storms every single day here in, Colorado, or at least, when that chance is there, because anything can happen. Low end chance in Dodge City, and then our higher risk here from Kearney to Omaha, up to tennis ball size hail possible for those storms if they can stay again by themselves and don't line out immediately. And then we do have a low end chance to see $1.25 size here for Pierce, South Dakota, up to Grand Forks, North Dakota, and then some large hail as well getting into Des Moines. And that will be later on tonight. And then a small area as well in the northeast, just some quarter size hail for those pop-up storms, and that does include Burlington. And then in terms of our tornado forecast, it looks like that risk has been upgraded as well. So really watching you guys in Omaha today as we have a 5% chance to see a tornado happening there, and then a lower end chance for Des Moines as well as Moline. So again, if you're in these areas today, make sure you stay tuned to Hail Trace as well as your local news stations for any updated information for storms, especially if they become tornado warned. And then for our wind forecast for today, we do have multiple areas. It looks like Pierre is now out of that. I don't know why, but Pierre, I think you have a low end chance. Grand Forks, and then as you head further south, Kearney, Omaha, Des Moines, I have you at a moderate, and then a low end chance here in Colby. And then heading off to the east, we have a low end chance to see some severe winds in parts of Ohio, getting up into the northeast into New York. We got Vermont, New Hampshire, and then another risk down in the southeast, including North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So now if my computer will love me, I know you love me. Come on, there we go. Okay, so this is the future radar for tomorrow. We're going to wake up again. Chicago, you're going to unfortunately get more rain and some scattered storms here elsewhere. And then as we go into tomorrow morning, starting to clear out a bit in Chicago, but we'll be watching this area very closely once again as we get that rebounding of the atmosphere, once again becoming unstable. Some storms starting to fire up here in parts of Iowa, northwest Minnesota. And as those storms push off to the east, is at 5 p.m. Just in time for your evening commute. We'll be watching once again Chicago and maybe KC. I'm trying not to jinx you guys there. So some large hail possible basically from Chicago to KC. That will be the area that we'll be watching the most for tomorrow, but even some storms in parts of western Nebraska, and then all that will start to push off to the east and die off a bit as we begin our Saturday. So I'm going to zoom right into that area that I just mentioned, Chicago down to parts of Missouri. We'll be waking up to some storms, most likely not severe, but heavy rain will be possible. And then as we get into the late morning, into the afternoon hours, you can see those storms starting to fire up here. So again, Chicago to KC, we'll be watching those very carefully, and then some more storms out to the west as well. And we'll be keeping an eye on Minneapolis for a low end chance, but I do think the best area will be to the south from Chicago down to KC as we get into our Friday and early Saturday morning. So taking a look at our future jet stream, what's causing all of this? So we do have a shortwave trough here in the northern plains, and that'll be pushing off to the east as we get into our Friday and sliding off even more to the east into our Saturday. Staying, a bit toasty here, but we will be cooling down a bit here in the southern plains. I'll show you that in just a moment for our weekend. And then as we get into Monday, just a few little short waves here and there causing that potential for severe weather as we get into next week. So here are temperatures, the departure from normal. You can see for the most part we are at or above average for most of us across the U.S., staying still above average here in the northeast as well as in the southwest. But look at this, an area of below normal temps for our Friday. And as we get into our Saturday, we're going to be quite comfortable for this time of the year for areas such as Nebraska, eastern Colorado, Kansas, down into parts of Oklahoma and Texas, and that will continue into our Sunday as well. So if you're not a fan of the heat, we'll have a little bit of a break with that as we get into this weekend, but unfortunately it's going to be a little bit on the wet side. But let's take a look at our temperatures for the next few days. Very toasty here in the middle of the country as well as in the southwest, where temperatures will be in the 90s to even the low hundreds, in areas such as southern New Mexico, parts of Nevada and California. And as we get into tomorrow, if we can show that, there we go. Still quite toasty for our Friday, but then as we get into our Saturday, will be a bit muggy to start off, but as we go into the afternoon, temperatures will only be in the mid-80s here in Oklahoma City. Still a bit toasty though down in Dallas, where it will be around 98. Comfortable though in Kansas City, will be 85 as well, and then more 80s as we go into the northeast. Staying toasty though in the southwest as we go through our Saturday, and then starting our Sunday, more 80s and 90s, but not as oppressive as we've been seeing the last day or two. So a little bit of a break from the heat at least as we go into our weekend, but we could see some rain, which will be keeping those temperatures down. And then getting into our Monday, 81 here in Oklahoma City on a Monday. I'll take that over, 90s and hundreds and stuff, which we should be seeing this time of the year. And then as we get into our Tuesday morning, only dropping down into the 70s. So taking a look at our temperature outlook, you can see from the 15th to the 19th of July, very much below average for most of us across the central U.S., above average across the east and the west. And in terms of our rain outlook, wetter than average. We've had so much rain here. It's crazy. We should be, really dry, and we are not. So we are going to see some more rain here across the central plains, down into the southern plains and into the Rockies. If you want some drier than normal, go out into Seattle, because elsewhere we just see green, lots of green. But we should potentially see that severe weather ramp up over the next few hours. So make sure that if you haven't already, you follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have X or Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as our TikTok page. Make sure you hit see first on our Facebook page so you don't miss any of our live videos. And if you have any questions or anything like that, you can call us at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com. Check out our website at www.hailtrace.com, and you can also scan that QR code above to learn more about us and our products, and we can get you set up with a demo. But for now, I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday.